Hello, 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 hello. Welcome to Dave TV for the oh, my pants are popping open here. For the 12th of October. How you doing, everybody? How you doing, everybody? It's Dave TV. Interesting little rumor today. An interesting little rumor. Here's the deal. Okay, Cumulus owns a bunch of radio stations all over the country. They're actually one of the largest owners of radio stations, and they own WMAL here in Washington, 630 AM 105.9, and they own WRQX 107.3. Okay, and they just announced a deal with CBS. CBS is starting this new thing called CBS Sports Radio. Okay, and it's going to be a 24/7, programming source of just all these programs. Jim Rome, a whole bunch of other people are going to be on there. Okay? Now, CBS also has local sports talkers in many big markets, like WJFK here in Washington, WJZFM in Baltimore. They're all over. They're basically locally programmed. Okay? They have local shows on them. So CBS is looking for this kind of dual thing where they're going to have literally have two sports talkers in a lot of markets where they'll have the local stuff, and then they'll have the national feed. And some of that may get cross-promoted or whatever, cross-pollinated, whatever. So like Baltimore, for example, 105.7 will stay pretty much the way it is with Norris and Davis in the morning and stuff like that, and the local shows. And then on 1300, instead of being ESPN radio, it'll now be CBS Sports Radio. That'll be happening by the end of the year, beginning of next year. Well, anyhow, Cumulus announces that they're going to be taking they do have a lot of sports talkers in a lot of markets that are plugged into ESPN. They're going to unplug ESPN and plug in CBS, okay? So now some of my radio gurus here are wondering, what are they going to do here in Washington? Now, CBS doesn't really have another signal, or do they, for their CBS sports talker format 24/7. Okay, some of the elements of it may be on WJFK, like in the overnights and stuff. But what do they want to do if they want to put that on a full-time station here? So what could they do? Well, one of the proposals that I made the other day was to take 94.7 Fresh FM, say goodbye to Fresh, move WNEW to an inside the Beltway signal, and use 99.1 for this new CBS Sports Talker. I think that's as good an idea as anything. But one of my radio gurus is wondering if Citadel and CBS might not get together here in Washington. What if, okay, now we're saying, here are the ratings for WMAL. They've actually went down. They've gone down ever since WMAL and Cumulus started the FM relay on 105.9. Okay, WMAL's ratings were actually higher when they were on 6:30 AM only. So they've actually gone down. So a lot of the talk is that Cumulus is going to take 105.9, do something else with it, okay? Put another music format on it or do something else with it. Well, one of my radio gurus who's in the know says a likely or a definite possibility is that that 105.9 signal, maybe Cumulus and CBS could do a deal, whereby maybe Cumulus would continue to own the station, but CBS would lease the station, like rent it out, and they could put their full 24/7 CBS sports format on that signal. What would be the advantage for CBS there? Well, they would have two pretty good signal FM sports talkers in the market. They'd have 105.9 with their CBS Sports Radio on it, which would be maybe a Cumulus-owned station, so Cumulus would make some money on it, but CBS would actually program it. And then, they'd have WJFK right down the dial at 106.7. In fact, the two stations actually use the same transmitter there in Merrifield. And the other thing that would be an advantage to CBS is now they would basically try to squeeze Dan Snyder out of the picture. Dan Snyder has 980 AM, ESPN 980. It does have two rim shot FM signals, 92.7 out of Prince Frederick and 94.3 out of the Warrenton area. So, they could try to squeeze him out as much as possible. I don't know. It could be used as an overflow, so maybe, if they have the Wizards on one station and the Capitals on the other, they could do a lot of that. It would give them a much more of a sports stranglehold on the Washington radio market. And so one of my radio gurus says that's a possibility. It's a possibility that CBS could, make a deal with Cumulus and get 105.9, or maybe 630 and keep MAL on 105.9. I don't know. Something's going to happen. We'll see. It'd be interesting to see where CBS Sports Radio ends up in the Washington market as a full-time channel. Now, they could put it on 1580, which CBS owns, but they just put their new BizGov format on there, and I can't imagine them getting rid of that. Plus, it's not a very good signal, especially at night. Right? Right! Okay, let's pull up some memories. So, since it's Redskins season here, even though the Nationals, playing their big game tonight, everyone's talking about the Nationals, still Redskins. Remember the old Redskins, Countdown to Kickoff show or whatever with Sonny Jurgensen and the late, great Glenn Brenner there on Channel 9. Good show there. That's a nice memory of that. If we're bringing that up, there's Glenn Beck. Well, I don't know why we have him. There's George Michael. Remember George? They were over at Channel 4 for many years. This was back in his DJ days over there at either WFIL or WABC in New York. Okay, there's a George Michael Sports Machine shirt. There we go. I wonder if anybody's still Antigua. Wonder if anybody's still wearing those. That's kind of cool. And there we've got another picture of George Michael there. I guess we're at the M's here, right? And some more George Michael back in his DJ days. Here's Arthur Godfrey. WJSV was the precursor to WTOP radio. Someone told me somewhere that WJSV actually started out as a religious station for Jesus Saves Virginia, and their transmitter was in Mount Vernon. That's interesting. But Arthur Godfrey, of course, had his big ranch or whatever, his complex out there in Leesburg, where the Arthur Godfrey Field now is. And actually, I'm told he actually did some of his shows from the Leesburg area. And there's some Arthur Godfrey memories from WMAL. That, I guess, is Arthur Godfrey, although it looks... Yeah, I guess that's a young Arthur Godfrey. And there's WJSV Arthur Godfrey there. License to Listen. The Sundial. Morning, 7 to 9. So he did the morning show there on what was to become WTOP. And there is a sideways vision of a Channel 7 news van thing. Okay, then we got some old classic Channel 9 pictures here. Remember these? Remember Gordon Peterson and Max Robinson? Channel 9, back in the 70s, back when it was WTOP TV, and the Washington Post owned the station. And then we've got another memory of Gordon Peterson and Maureen Bunyan there. I believe this is 1994, so I believe this was at they're together again at WJLA, but I believe this was over at WUSA. Was it? I don't know. But anyhow, we got some more Gordon and Max memories there from the old WTOP TV, Channel 9, and some Gordon there, and some more Gordon there back when he was young and vibrant. And there he is today. Look at that. Look at the change. Still a very handsome, dashing guy. Young Gordon and the nice Silver Fox Gordon. And there he is again. That's interesting how they got the light to kind of cascade right off his head there. Like, and some more. And there he is again. Lots of Gordon. Lots of Gordon today. And there's Gordon. Okay, this was, WUSA News. And I think this was Gordon's last day at WUSA. What? These pictures from Gordon, last day, WUSA. And I believe that's Tracy Neal? I think so. Whatever happened to her? She went to Bermuda. I've heard she's down in Bermuda. And there's another Gordon, Gordon Barnes, used to do the weather there at Channel 9. And there he is holding up the moon. I think that's a cool picture. And there's, of course, Gordon, Max, and Steve. Oh, gosh, Steve Gendel, wasn't that? Steve Gendel. Whatever happened to Steve? And some more Gordon. And some more Gordon and Max. And Count Cordival, who just recently hung out there with Arch Campbell. So there. All right, folks, that's my Dave TV for today. Don't forget, send us a donation. DCRTV depends on our advertisers, but we also depend on our viewers and listeners and our visitors. Send us some bucks. Help support the site. $5, $5,000, your call, whatever you want to send us. Just click on the support link at the top of DCRTV.com. Thanks for watching Dave TV for this Friday, the 12th of October, 2012. So there.